All right, so the Trump campaign also setting its sight on the Southwest today. You're looking right now live at a rally in the state of New Mexico. It's Trump's final push in that region to get voters to the polls. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris giving her thoughts on the Affordable Care Act, which she claims Donald Trump will repeal if elected. Let's listen in.
Comments about the Affordable Care Act. Look, I've been saying throughout this campaign, be very clear that among the stakes in this election are whether we continue with the Affordable Care Act or not. It has been a part of Donald Trump's agenda for a very long time. He has made dozens of attempts to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And now we have further validation of that agenda from his supporter, the Speaker of the House. And what that would mean for the American people is that insurance companies could go back to a time when they would deny you coverage for health insurance based on pre-existing conditions such as you being a survivor of breast cancer, asthma, diabetes. And what I know is that the American people, regardless of who they're voting for, know the importance of the Affordable Care Act, as it is also called Obamacare, in terms of expanding people's coverage to health care based on a fundamental principle that I hold deeply. Access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege to those who can afford it.
Kamala Harris speaking there about the Affordable Care Act. So listen, here at CBS News 24/7, when one candidate or politician quotes or talks about another one, we like to hear from the other one quickly. We can do that for you now. House Speaker Mike Johnson had this to say moments ago in response to what Kamala Harris had to say. Listen.
And I was told that Kamala Harris is lying about me today. She is lying. Apparently, she's said that I'm for repealing the ACA. That has not ever been our position anytime in recent memory. It is not our plan or nothing that we have on the table. I was at an event in Pennsylvania a few days ago, and somebody in the audience asked about that, and we have the audio and the transcript, and it's publicly available. You can hear exactly what I said. I said the ACA is ingrained in our healthcare system now. And Republicans in the House are always in favor of improving access, reducing cost of health care, and improving quality, and we'll always focus on that. But no one's talking about repealing the ACA.
So CBS News correspondent Nikole Killion joins us from the state of Nevada. Okay, so before we get to the Trump campaign, we just heard Johnson's response to that issue. It is an issue that's squarely on the mind of Congress that you so deftly cover. Are we seeing a preview of what's to come after the election by way of a fight on this front?
Well, as you heard the speaker there try to do is kind of walk back some of the remarks that he made earlier this week when he suggested that House Republicans would try to reform the health care system if they are able to retain the majority. And so from that standpoint, again, you heard the speaker there try to suggest that, no, we're not trying to repeal the ACA. That's never been our position. But certainly some type of reform potentially could be on the table. The former president, for his part, also, when Speaker Johnson made his original comments earlier this week, tried to put some distance from the speaker's remarks. But now, in light of the vice president coming out suggesting that the former president and House Republicans would repeal the Affordable Care Act, the former president really pushing back against that, saying that this is fiction, which is also something that Speaker Johnson made reference to as well, saying that the vice president is lying about him. So, there is some gray area here, because we do know that Republicans, certainly under the former president's administration, did make several attempts to try to repeal the Affordable Care Act. So this is kind of a lightning rod issue on both sides. But the former president, for his part, at least right here, right now in this moment, is saying that that is something that is not under consideration, that it is fiction to even suggest that he would consider repealing the Affordable Care Act.
Mike Johnson echoing that. Okay, so we're learning the Trump campaign plans to make their final stops in Grand Rapids, Michigan, on the road to the White House. Why choose Grand Rapids, Michigan, Nikole?
Well, look, I mean, both of these candidates are barnstorming these battleground states in the final days, minutes, hours. That's part of why former President Trump is here in Nevada. Vice President Harris will also be here in Nevada. We know this state is a critical part of both of their strategies, but so are places like Michigan. You know, that is part of that blue wall that Democrats are trying to hold on to. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and certainly for the former president, if he could take one of those states, that certainly puts him in a better position and better path towards 270. So look, that partially explains why he may be picking Michigan as that final stop. But again, know that in the run up to all of that, both candidates are going to be making that final push in a lot of these states, whether it's here in Nevada, whether it's places like Georgia, or in the Midwest in places like Michigan.
And in Henderson, Nevada, nice to talk to you. Nikole Killion, thank you so much. We appreciate your coverage. And be sure to stay with CBS News for coverage all day, Election Day. Live reports from our election headquarters in New York and from our teams spread out across the country. Special coverage starts at 4 p.m. Eastern right here on CBS News 24/7.